Ah, the PlayStation 3. If you were a gamer, you know it was home to some absolutely groundbreaking titles. For Sony, it was this huge, high-stakes bet on the future of entertainment. But what if I told you this console had a secret second life, one that had nothing to do with gaming and everything to do with national security?
Yeah, the very same machine that drove game developers crazy with its complexity was also hiding a power that attracted one of the most sophisticated organizations on the planet. So how does that happen? Well, to get to the bottom of it, we've got to look at what made the PS3 so frustrating to begin with. Okay, so the secret really starts with the problem. See, at the heart of the PlayStation 3 was this totally revolutionary piece of hardware, the cell broadband engine. It had immense potential, but its design was notoriously, legendarily difficult to master. And don't just take my word for it. A developer back then summed it up perfectly, calling the experience overwhelming up front. You see, trying to program for the PS3 wasn't just a challenge. It was a straight-up nightmare for a lot of people. The architecture was so alien that it felt completely backwards. I mean, just look at the difference here. The Xbox 360, its main rival, had a processor with this familiar, symmetrical, three-core design. Pretty standard stuff that developers knew how to handle. But the PS3? Oh no. Its cell processor used this bizarre 1+8 asymmetrical layout. Game studios basically had to throw out their old playbooks and learn an entirely new, much harder way of thinking just to get their games to work.
It got so bad that for a lot of developers, working with the PS3 felt like trying to make sense of one of these old railroad diagrams from some ancient programming manual. It was just dense, confusing, totally counterintuitive. And because of this complexity, for years, the console's real power just stayed locked away, even from the very people making games for it.
But here's where the story takes a wild turn. That exact same complexity, that crazy learning curve that was basically a bug for the gaming world, well, it turned out to be a feature for someone else. Someone who wasn't exactly scared off by a little complexity.
So get this, while game developers were tearing their hair out just trying to make their games run, someone else was getting almost perfect performance out of the very same hardware. I mean, they weren't just using the PS3's power, they were absolutely mastering it. They were getting results that were just stunning.
So that really begs the question, right? If the best game studios in the entire world couldn't crack this thing, who on earth had the resources, the brainpower, and the reason to solve the puzzle of the cell processor? The answer isn't some big tech company, it's not a university lab, it's an organization with some of the most intense, demanding computational needs on the entire planet.
Yep, that's right, the United States Air Force. More specifically, their research laboratory, the AFRL. They looked at the PS3 and didn't see a toy. They saw a ridiculously powerful and cheap building block for something way, way bigger.
So they started a project codenamed the Condor Cluster. And the plan? Man, it was audacious. They wanted to link hundreds, maybe even thousands, of regular off-the-shelf PlayStation 3s together to build a massive supercomputer on the cheap.
And they actually did it. They connected 1,760 PlayStation 3s. Just try to picture that for a second. Racks and racks of the same console you might have had in your living room, all wired together to work as one giant single brain.
And the result was incredible. A machine capable of 53 teraflops. We're talking 53 times trillion calculations every single second. At the time, that made it one of the most powerful supercomputers in the world. And they built it with hardware you could just go out and buy at a store. And the amazing thing? It worked. It worked beautifully. The networking between all those consoles was able to handle these huge amounts of data, which proved this whole idea wasn't just some crazy gimmick. The PS3 cluster was a real-deal, high-performance supercomputer. Okay, so what do you even do with a supercomputer made of game consoles? The Air Force wasn't trying to play the latest Metal Gear at 1 billion frames per second. Nope, they had much, much bigger plans.
Their main goal was this thing called neuromorphic computing. Now, that sounds complicated, but basically, they wanted to use the power of all those PS3s to simulate the way a human brain works, to build a whole new kind of artificial intelligence. And this wasn't just abstract research. This new AI had very specific jobs to do. They were using it to process massive video streams from drones in real time, to sharpen up satellite and radar images. And this is the really cool part, to teach an AI how to read text that was so messed up a person couldn't possibly read it.
And that last part led to maybe the most incredible demonstration of the Condor cluster's power. It was a simple test, really, that gave the system some text that was so distorted it just looked like a bunch of noise. The question was, could the AI brain they built find the signal in that noise?
The answer? A huge, resounding yes. Just look at this. The system took that scrambled mess you see on the left and spat out a perfect letter-for-letter reconstruction of the sentence. This wasn't just some cool party trick. It showed they'd created a powerful new way of recognizing patterns, all powered by a bunch of video game consoles.
So you've got to be asking, how was any of this even possible? How did they do it? Well, the Air Force's success, and really the PS3's ultimate destiny, all came down to one specific and now kind of infamous feature. The magic key was a feature called Other OS. See, the early models of the PS3 actually let you install other operating systems on them, like Linux. This was the loophole the Air Force needed. They used it to totally bypass all the gaming software and get direct access to that powerful cell processor, turning each console into a piece of their supercomputer.
But then, the story takes an ironic twist. Sony got worried about piracy, so they pushed out a software update that removed the Other OS feature. Well, this made the hacker community furious. They saw it as a challenge, and their response was to find a flaw that blew the PS3's security wide open, making it, as one outlet said at the time, almost impossible for Sony to rectify the situation. So Sony's attempt to lock the whole thing down actually led to it being broken into, permanently.
And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating thought. The PS3 was a frustrating game console that was secretly a supercomputer. It just makes you wonder, what other incredible potential is lying dormant inside the devices we use every single day, just waiting for someone to look at them in a completely new way?